Welcome back. So in this quick video, we will take a look at what can we do with very basic steps to explore lighting options inside a space. So we will take a look into what type of lights do we have, from point light to area light, lighting, kind of collections or sets, mesh lights, also dealing with an environment. How can we set up this environment? And then place various cameras. You can see I have here cameras outside the space. This is like what we see right now, um, looking through the walls. So this covers also a little bit of interior photography. And the idea behind this is to show you how easy and intuitive actually it is to work with light and materials to explore how an interior space could function and also could be experienced. So here we are in the environment, and we want to set everything up here first. So when we start working, we have a nice structured environment. And then we go into add-ons, adding lights, and all that fun stuff. For those who are new to the program, just as a quick refresh, sometimes you don't see the toolbar like you see here right now. Press T, then it shows up. And here also is a property menu. Like when I click it, it gives me a readout of everything. With N, I can show this on and off. With T, I can show this on and off. Very good. So I have here all my different objects, and I have here some collections. For example, the roof. If I turn this off, now you see that's gone. Maybe the foundation I want to put into one collection. Right click inside scene collection, double click floor. There we have this floor. There it is, and I can drag this one in there. Very nice. I also have a lot of cabinets with shift and then left mouse button. I select all those. Okay. I can go also to objects and then say collection, move to collection. But make a new one. And I call this cabinet and enter. So you see now everything is in here. And if I turn this off, you see all the stuff that's gone. Pretty nice. I have a few more things. Cabinets and countertop. Okay, all that stuff goes into there. There are some handles and there. Okay, very good. There are windows, plane. Maybe double click. This is our walls. Beautiful. And maybe we call this wall kitchen. The reason why it makes sense to set everything up this way is simply when later your scene in general gets very complicated or full, you want to be able to very quickly isolate, show, hide everything what you have. And these collections are very useful because you can see how very quickly I can turn literally logical groups on and off. Okay, very nice. So I will keep the roof off here for the moment. Then we can bring this to there. Very nice. So the next, maybe at this point, a logical step to do is add a camera. So we would like to look into this area. Here's the 3D cursor. And we're going to add a lot of elements in there. Shift S, cursor to world origin. You see then the cursor went right to there. And if I would add a cube, it pops up right there. X and delete. But maybe from there, I do not all the time want to move things in there. So I can also do some interesting things like maybe do it this way. And what I'm going to show you is just a matter of preference. You can keep the cursor there or turn this on. Maybe turn face on and then hold control and then left mouse button and click, and you see, oh no, actually you do not have to hold control. It automatically snaps to it. Perfect, my fault. So you see now I'm snapping this 3D cursor onto every position there. In addition, if I now press N, go to View, there's my 3D cursor. I can override the rotation. Doesn't really matter. I just like this vertical, horizontal. And here, maybe I type this in to be 30 inches, 40 inches off the ground. No? So at this position, I can now go ahead and add a camera. There it is. Go to this part. I can move this back and this camera looks very rotated. That's easy to change with the camera selected. Then here I can say 0 and 0 and 0. The triangular part faces this way. Z goes straight up. So along Z I have to rotate it minus 90. And then here we have this y-axis. Nope, it's the x-axis, because this is the local orientation, by the way. So if I rotate this now, you can see what local means. You see how the y-axis rotates. 90. Very good. Since we're here, maybe a quick explanation one more time what this local and global means. Pay attention to where the z is and the y and the x. So the 3D axis is all aligned based on how the object is rotated. And you see now how I can slide this along individual local axes. Very useful. If you don't have to go straight up and down. Because if you only go straight up and down, left, right, global is fine. Anyway, so that's good. We would like to frame the space. Okay, let's set up our interface a little bit. Right click right on this border. Split horizontal. Right click, split vertical. The reason why I do this is here I will create a small viewport. Renders faster. T and N. I'm hiding the toolbar and the property. Click on the camera. There we are. Now in this view, I can move this up. The camera right now is at 47 off the ground. What's actually 6 feet? That would be 6 feet. What about 5 feet? 6 inches. There we are, or 5 inches. This way you can actually specify the eye level of the space. We can now move the camera into the space. Very good. Yeah, we see a lot of the ceiling. We don't really see much of the ground. So with the camera selected, we can go to camera settings and work with the shift. So you see here how I'm shifting the plane. This is not rotating the camera. Pay attention, all these lines are still vertical. If I would rotate the camera, there you can see how the vertical lines are shifting. That's terrible. And that is why we only do an image shift. It's also exactly the way how I would photograph an architecture or interior space. With my camera, as long as I don't really want to use it for artistic purpose, I look straight horizontal. Then we can adjust maybe the resolution. Currently, this is 1920 by 1920. Let's say we go horizontally by 1000 pixels and vertically by 50% of that. So 500. What about 700? A little bit more landscape. We don't really see much of the space. Okay, we can move the camera back, but shoot, then I'm outside the wall and I don't see anything. No problem. With the camera still selected, go back to camera. Then we will go to viewport display, turn on limits. Then you see this line. And here this yellow dot is going to be very interesting. When I click and drag, you can see how now I start looking into the space. So what clipping means is from here, I start seeing everything. I could make even a funny rendering like this. So everything on this tiny strip for example, is only visible. Don't do what I'm doing here right now. I'm just more showing you what is going on here. You see, it's kind of like an MRI scan through this space. So obviously that is slightly silly. So I bring this back to the outside. There we are. And now I can maybe move the camera further back. Okay, but then I have to bring the clipping back. Look at that. You see, I'm starting to look into the space. There, maybe my shift is too aggressive. Let's put this back to 0. Maybe a little bit still down. Oh, I see a good piece of the roof, ceiling, and a good piece of the ground. Very nice. Okay. Let's say also I would like to have multiple cameras. So I go to a top view. This is very often how I work. I go to wireframe or Z and wireframe. Then I can see where we are. Control spacebar. So control spacebar goes into full screen. Shift D, move the camera to there and rotate. There we are. Pan, so shift middle mouse button, shift D, move a camera to there, R to rotate. And then I'm in top view. That's the reason why I don't have to, I can just press R and it rotates around the Z axis. Control spacebar and we are back. So how do I switch to the different views? If you're on a normal keyboard, it is Control 0 on the numpad. So there, Control, or in this case here with the Mac, it's Apple 0, or set active object as camera. The clipping for this camera is now away, so I will turn the clipping off. I don't need it because I'm actually really looking this more from the outside. I will go to local. Now you can see how I can nicely slide the camera back. Yeah, look at that. Maybe with the roof together. Not too bad. Where's this other camera? Here, there. So in this view again, camera, set as active camera. The clipping also here is problematic. There, let's see. Do we even find a good position? Yeah, maybe actually here we want to change the angle. So we're going to, I do this on purpose. I have a really harsh value because you see how how perspectively distorted this is. You will see photographing interior spaces is very difficult, and the same is in rendering. With the human eyes, we can see more than we can see with a camera. But so let's go back to collections. Right click, new collections, and then these 3 cameras I drag into there. Double click camera. And that's a really nice way to sort everything. And then when I want to switch between views, I simply select my camera and then Control 0, Apple 0? Yeah, Apple 0 on the Mac, Control 0 on the Mac works the same way. And on PC it's Control 0. Is this actually the same with that? It needs to be a numpad. So a laptop doesn't really work, but for that then you simply go to here, right click. Oh, sweet. Add to quick favorites. So go to the camera, don't click, but now right click and click. So when I click this camera, press Q. Ta-da! It sets then this way, this to the active camera. So you can do it this way too. But ideally you see, do the switch then when you're inside this camera view. We can set the passepartout a little bit more, so we can see a little bit of the rest, but we are not too distracted by it. And this is actually a per camera setting. Very nice. Okay, so this is actually ready. Now we have the document set up. This is the format every camera will render out. Okay, very good. Never forget to hit save on a regular basis, and we are ready to do a rendering. So Z and render. Okay, there we are. I have my settings set up, so denoise is 5, max sample for viewport is 5. It's very bloppy, it renders fast, it lacks a lot of detail, but it's sufficient enough to understand how something looks. So you see how I'm quickly switch between my areas. Oh, that's actually also nice how the light comes in and all the stuff. Maybe this brings the idea of, well, maybe one more. Maybe I take this camera, Shift D in top view, move this to there, Control 0 in that view. Can also move this around and see what's happening. Maybe move this to there and then take a look into that space. Oh, that's actually also really nice. Okay. And there's some architectural thing happening. Yep, that's all good. Maybe I'll crop this out. Okay, very nice. So we currently, if I zoom out, we have background that is white, and we have 100. The strength of 1.2 makes this weaker. Now there you can see how this gets weaker. Can make this stronger. A lot of light really flows in. This can be okay to use in some cases when you want to have a very kind of like overcast like of a look, like we have right now because it's snowing, but it is also like a huge just white. Think of it like it's this a white globe that emits very even light into the scene. That's not very realistic. So we could, for example, say, good, let's turn this on to 0, so off. Then I will go add an sunlight, move the sunlight up, maybe over here, so I see where it is. Where this light is doesn't really matter. And I can maybe rotate it. There. Go to the sunlight, maybe give this more power so it's nice and strong. Sun is really burningly hot. Yeah, let's really shoot in a lot of light. And again, you can see, that's not too bad. The contrast is actually quite nice. But we notice the environment is pitch black. Okay, well, maybe we give this a little bit of a bluish sky. 0.2, and this can work. 1, 0.5. If I go to the outside, you will see how this looks. The sun illuminates really everything and floods it, and then the shadow, what would be illuminated just by the sky, kind of like remains bluish. It kind of works if this is something you would like to do for maybe a basic architectural visualization and a more cartoonish look. It's very easy to set up, works really fast. I mean, this is actually not too bad, this look. Maybe now this camera I move a little bit further away. I really started liking this. It's like an isometric graphic, but it's not very realistic. So let's select the sun, X and delete. Let's go to the sky. We set this all back to white and 1. And here will Z and wireframe. So I turned this off for the moment. Save again. Because what we will do is we will give this world a sky. And when we go to color, click on it and then say sky texture. If we now Z and render, or we go to here, oh, look at that. There's an environment. You see? There's a sky. So all these things will emit actually light. I have here sun elevation 2. Oh, look at that. How beautiful. There is actually going to be a sunset. Also, wow, look at this, how beautifully it colors everything in these nice warm tones. So you see what I mean. It's just the sun and the sky. Also here, this bluish effect. This works really, really good. It's a little bit more realistic. Now, however, we would like to control this more also via where we are in the world. So GPS location-wise, for example, or time of the year, the day. So we would like this sky texture to be controlled. And that is when we go to Edit Preferences and then add on, here we type in sun location, and there it is. Now I can go to sun location. I have actually here this already pre-set up. First thing what you want to do is you go to sky texture. Now basically what is happening is that the sun position will be controlled by the GPS location and the time. And then when we change this, so the time, you see how this all updates correctly. Now, to find the correct values, where is Detroit? So just type it in, Detroit GPS location. There is a latitude and a longitude. I think I mispronounced latitude, latitude, latitude und longitude. Copy. So Control C, Apple C, whatever. And then, for example, this value goes into longitude and paste, enter, and you do the same for latitude. So, and that basically set everything up now where you are in the world. It didn't, however, yet set up everything for the time. So you can turn on this use day of the year. So we are at day 48, 2022. Time is this, but we are in Detroit. That is UTC -5. So let's punch this in. Zack. Very good. We are right now, so 3 p.m. So here where I have a slider, and I am just sliding this till I see this to be there, like 15. So this uses actually military time. So 15 minus 12 is 3 p.m. Sunrise is 8 a.m. Sunset is 19, so 7 p.m. And then with this, basically, you can move this around and then take a look at what's happening. So 19:07 is the sunset. There we are. And I said 8:25 is, no, sunset. And sunset. And sunrise is 8:25. So I'm moving over to there. Okay, no, there is the east. Also, X and Y, I go to the Z view here. So positive X, positive Y, negative Y. This is north, east, south, west. There's also, you see this blue dotted line. This is actually show north. And with this, we can also artificially rotate this. So if you bring in a model and the model has actually the wrong orientation, instead of rotating the model, we can just rotate the world around it. Okay, so let's go back into this room. There we are. Okay. So 8:25, we're not really there. No, we have sunrise. The only problem is, for example, so the way how this place is rotated, the sun is coming on the east side logically, but maybe I want this to come more from here. So I am rotating this. So, oh, look at this, how beautiful. So all the morning light now comes into that space. And then again, we lower this a little bit. No, it's actually, this works really well. Plus the nice thing is with this feature, you see also the sky is adjusted. We're night, there's no light. The sunlight is also very, very strong, something to keep in mind. So if this effect is too strong, we can also go, for example, in one easy way, simply lower the strength there. This is like a short hack. Keep in mind, sun is very bright. We cannot look, or we can look into the sun, but it's going to hurt our eyes. With a photo camera or so, we should not really look into the sun because it could damage the sensors. And our eyes, for example, if we're in a dark room and we look outside, or we are inside the dark, like a cave, and then walk outside, we need a moment for our eyes to adjust because it's adjusting to the exposure, if you want to see it this way. And we're kind of like artificially doing something like this. We are making this more useful for our eyes. This is kind of like a quick hack. We can also go to the color management and set actually up also exposure here. I just leave it at this for the moment because that's fine too. Okay, back to here. So this is now, yeah, kind of like everything we need to know how to work with the add-on to create a nice like morning, or we go to the opposite. And yeah, there, this is actually also really nice how the sunlight shoots through the building and then illuminates the kitchen. And we can also, if we want to be more experimental or artistic, what happens when we even move this around? So where's actually this the sun now? There, okay. So it comes kind of like you can see from there in there. It's also interesting. That's like coming in and really glowing, beautiful. Okay, yeah. So this is how to work with the sun. Let's say we would like to explore lighting without just the environmental light, just only with artificial light. So what would be an easy way? Well, we could, for example, simply set this to maybe 0, so it's night, and it's simply turned off. Then I don't have to mess with the strength or anything there. And now I go to a top view. There I am. I press N to turn off this panel. And now let's work with point light. So add and light point. There we are. You see also the light was created right where my 3D cursor is, and I can move this around. The light can be more behind, can be more in front, can even be on the ground. Maybe kind of like there. What about we move this light into the cavity of that kitchen island? That's also interesting how the light from there starts bouncing and getting to the back. What about we move this to the hallway? Under the ceiling. And you can see how all these effects really change. How the shadows are cast and such. It's kind of beautiful. To play with the lights, we have the light sources then here. Our options are the light type, point, sun, spot, or area. We'll come to the area. To color, we can adjust the color here, the power. Ignore that this reads out what. I would simply advise for the moment, if you're new to this, simply adjust the number till this looks kind of like the way how it should be. Now this is a really strong light. And this is maybe the baby light. So you see something when you walk down the hallway while sleepwalking. and don't wake up too much. We also have a radius to make this light actually really big. Think about radius. So I make this like 0.1 inch. So it's a really like a tiny thing, and it creates a very sharp shadow. When I make this 12 inches, think about this is now a bigger globe, like that illuminates light. See the circle here? And now this, you see the shadow is actually really big and soft. And that's how you create, for example, sharp or soft shadows with a point light. Also here again, I say lighting, maybe lighting idea 1. And then I can, for example, select this, put this to somewhere else, Shift D to make copies. I will delete these 2 lights, select this one, and then I will use this command here, duplicate linked. And one more time, duplicate linked. And one more time, duplicate linked. So what is this duplicate linked actually doing? You see I'm placing all the lights in the hallway. Go to the side view, maybe move them more under the ceiling. And when I select one light and say here, be red, all the other lights have exactly the same definition because I created actually clones. So this is really useful when you do lighting and you have like one switch and 4, 5, 6 lights turn on at the same time. Then we can set this up via duplicate linked. If it should be individual light, we'd say duplicate object. Very good. So you see, not complicated. So let's go to here. Maybe we can keep this one off. When we do not want to render this, we can just simply turn this off, or at least this one off, or this one off. That turns off the complete collection. Let's make a new collection. We call this LED strip. Now I will go to here, add and light and area. Move this up. So what's an area? It's like a big surface. Could be a nice squarish area. So here maybe 24 inches. There we are. Yeah, actually it doesn't look too bad. Here I will turn out the visibility of all these interface elements, and I don't want to see this north. There we are, very nice. And what else can we do with it? So selecting the light, I can change the shape to a disk, so it's round, or a rectangle. With a rectangle, then yes, well, as you can see, we can turn this into a rectangular shape. So what about, I move this one to here and there, and then this is maybe 32, and this is maybe 1 inch. I'm going to model myself a quick LED strip. Maybe bring this to there. Then I have to move this one down into the kitchen island there, and maybe 4 watts. 2, it's too strong. Yeah, this looks good. I would like this LED to be used too in multiple locations. Okay. Linked, and then I press escape. Then I have a copy right, and then I move this to the back. Do this again. Linked, I can press Y and move this along the Y axis. When you make a linked copy, it creates a copy and you go right into the move command. One more time, linked, and press X. Go to the X area, along the X axis. Yeah, interesting. So again, if I select this light and change the color, there, all other lights will adjust at the same time. So you see the possibilities are really really great what you can do with it. Let's do one more fun exercise. Let's call this light shape, and I will add a point light. Actually, area light first, there. And then this I move up, there we are. Okay, and then I will say add and cube. There's my cube, and I move this cube over this light, and then I will scale this cube so it actually fits kind of like over the light. And I will go into edit mode, face select, select the lower edge, move this one. Oh, we have to press O or turn this off. This is on to there, X, and then we delete this face. So we open it. And look at that. We have a nice light fixture. It's an amazingly boring looking cube with an area light inside. Okay, move this one down. But maybe one is not enough. What do we have? Two. Shift D and Y in top view. And Shift D and Y in top view. You see I made like three of these copies. Oh, it's actually not too bad. Okay. Now I can work actually with each individual light here. They all were put into this correct collection. So this light I can select and say maybe 5. Now if I want to have individual strength for each light, see now how this is off. If I would like these lights to be linked, if you're new to this, you might have to rotate the view till you see the objects, but here are my 3 area lights. We can actually link them afterwards. So let's say here we call this kitchen island. Go to here. This is just an object, like a placeholder, kitchen island. And I am replacing this light with kitchen island. And you see? Pretty awesome. There. Okay. So basically you can create any type of interesting geometry and turn this into some sort of something that blocks the light. Could be a circle, could be a cube. We could also have, if we want to do this really quickly, maybe have the lights shooting the light right onto these blocks so the light actually bounces back. Oh yeah, that's an interesting idea. So let's do that. So turn this off. So we make this very simple. Shift A, cube. This cube I would like to scale along one axis. There we are. And then I move this to somewhere there. Move this up. There we are. Then add object light area. There we are. And then we can rotate this. This is 90 degrees. There. And I need to make sure that this maybe now is also, where's my cube? There's my cube. So this has to go behind it. So there you see, there's the cube, there's the light. And if I now say, well, this light should be rotated so it looks this way. So 180. Roughly eyeball the position over it. There we are. So you see now how the light hits the cube, bounces back, and then tries to illuminate the rest. But you can see this is not working very well. So it's complicated to calculate because it's I'm turning a direct light into an indirect light. But I thought this would be interesting to see. So we call this maybe indirect light. Indirect light, basically the meaning is the light source does not look right into the room. So now this area light can actually really see the environment and illuminate it. But the direct light hits the surface, then bounces off, hits another surface, bounces off, and then becomes kind of like an indirect light. This was a good idea, but doesn't really work out well. So, okay, cool. Yeah, okay. So, we can also add, for example, a spotlight if we want. So here is kind of like a spotlight. Spotlight could go right under a ceiling. You see how I'm working a lot in top view and side view and then move around. I find this very, very easy. Oh, there's actually my light. Maybe I bring this over to the other side. Ah, so there it is. Okay. I don't really like it, so I will delete it. I hope that you also start noticing why these collections are simply so powerful. Look, you see, like I'm just turning all these things on and off without having to select all individual lights and then needing to turn this on, turn this off. And oh, looks really cool if you start mixing actually these things. Well, that's not too bad. Not too shabby. Okay. Yeah. Then we can play and say, well, let's bring in maybe our good morning dose of beautiful sunlight. There we are. There was something there. Oh, that's also not too bad. And then you start sculpting actually nicely an environment and play with lights. What is actually really useful when you approach lighting this way is if you want to render out lighting plans as a two-dimensional illustration. So what does this mean? So here, I will turn this off to be 0. Very good. And in this view, yeah, I will turn on this. I will turn off the roof, so it's gone. And I would like to be able to, oh, look at this. I want to see my space from the top and create a rendering. Okay, so how do I do this? I press 0 here to go back into this view. So here's the camera. You can go to side view. Shift D, move this up. Press N so I can see this and R. Okay, so this has to be 0 and 0. Now this camera, I would like to look through here. So Q and set active camera, or no, I use this one. Cool. Now I'm in top view and I can move the camera around. I can also rotate it based on how I would like to see this space. Pretty cool. Maybe for giggles, how does this look again? Maybe if we put this in. It's okay, but it washes it out too much. I mean, it's possible, but just for where are the light fixtures, this might not be as super good. Here I put this one in so we can see this one. And I have this light tail turned on. So what about G? We move around. And there I can see how all this light really works. Before we continue, I would like to show you something else, which is quite fun. Z and wireframe. I will create myself, add mesh, a small sphere. I'll move this sphere to here, into this corner. There we are. Okay, we can keep the size. There it is. And then go to materials, new, call this mesh light or potatoes, tomatoes. Scroll down, emission. Okay, emit some light, maybe a little bit yellowish. So this actually how you can turn any geometry also into a light, which is quite fun too. So this Shift D, I could in theory, if I want to, position also where all these other light sources are. And override them. Obviously, this sphere is way too big now, so I need this to be more tiny. Yeah, or I can even use this with these point lights that illuminates the space, and these small spheres show actually, hey, there is actually a light. Anyway, so I can select now this camera, go to camera, and I set this to orthographic. Then I have a scale to zoom in and zoom out. And then in top view, I can move this around. And there's my, yeah, my lighting 2D plan rendered out. So I could take this, make a screenshot, go into Illustrator and render over it and rebuild it. Or here, as you can see, I simply do a rendering in 2D. I might actually still do this rendering and then bring this into Illustrator and put more line work over the architecture so you can see where walls, etc. are, because this is all really black. But if there would be white lines, then this would be easier to see what actually the space is, because this is black right now. But I thought this is actually a really nice, interesting trick to point out how you could even take a three-dimensional model and turn this into a 2D rendering. Same for section views. Back to this camera and turn on the roof. And then this indirect lighting here will turn off. And these spheres here I will delete. There. Cool. So when we explore how light could work, we should actually not ignore materials. So I will, in this view here, I will turn off the roof for the moment. Z and solid, I will select this back wall, go to material, disconnect material because I don't want this to be associated, and new, and call this orange. Base material should be orange. There. Oh, look at that. Looks so much nicer. Well, what about maybe we do something with the hallway? So I can select the hallway, go into edit mode, stay in face mode. And you see here, this is the default material. I will select maybe, yeah, kind of like this face, plus orange, and now assign. Oh, and there it is. Oh, look at that. Beautiful. There are these leftover pieces. The person who made the model didn't put this in, but this is all good because this was all about the kitchen. But all these elements now we can select. And then what's really nice is also with lighting. If you put a light in an area, it will bounce off colored light from that wall. So if I go to here and then select this light, Z and wireframe, Shift D, and then move this over to there. Bring this down. And there you can see how you get like coloring on there. So it's called color bleeding. That's also reflection too. But yeah, that's basically how this works. X and delete. Very good. Yeah, no, not too bad. How do we do this actually when maybe here on this wall we want just to have a lower part? So based on the quality of the geometry, I'm going to this view. Let's turn on actually first another add-on, preferences. Here we talk, we say snap and turn on snap. Thank you. I turn rendering off here for the moment. Maybe Z and material. Then here I zoom in. I can, sorry. We can, was it frame selected there? Now I can zoom in a little bit better to this part or not. Let's go edit mode, face, select this face. Now we do frame selected, yeah. Here I would like to do a cut. And based on how clean the geometry is, so if I press G, oh, what happened? This is individual. Okay, maybe it should have been connected anyway. So here this is disconnected. So what I can do now, Shift H, and I hide everything else. Then I turn on this cutting tool via K like knife. Pick a height, maybe down here. And I can press X. This goes for along the X-axis. Click and enter. And you see now I have two faces. Okay. Here I have this material already added because this whole geometry, we added this orange material, but I didn't assign this yet. Assign, there we are. And I press Alt-H. I would like to do one quick check. Why? So yeah, snap utility. Yep, it's there. Okay, good. So if I select this face and maybe, yeah, maybe let's work on this face and this face. So Shift H, I will isolate these two walls. Again, I can press K, click, press X, and click and enter. K, click, press X for the X axis, click and enter. Go to this edge select and edge snap. Click this, move this, and now I hold Control and move my cursor right over this edge, and you see how this snaps to it. Alt-H, and then I can select this edge and this edge, move this up, hold Control, snap to this edge. Now they're all lined up perfectly. Select both faces, assign. There we are. Look at that. We don't like this design. Well, no big problem. We can always select them, select the other material, and bring this back. Now to bring this to an end, you see here I tinkered a little bit with the settings more. I have actually the sun coming in from the side, sunset. I adjusted the north offset. So I have a little bit of light coming in from the outside, and I can use my interior light because it's also time to do renderings. So in this file, there's actually a color adjustment happening. So we would like to turn this off. We go to post-processing, and then here we turn these things off. Then when we go and say render, before we do this, we might want to go and specify this. So I have a slow computer and I'm video recording. So you might want to go to 100. I will go simply to 5. So it's nice and fast and just a render. So there's this image. Okay. For example, including the outside light. Now I would like to overwrite this and see how does this look without the outside light. So I will set the timer to 0. And then I will do this rendering again. So now we can compare very nicely. Pretty cool. So you see every camera we can first switch into. There. And maybe say 9. How does this look actually at this time in the day? There we are. Okay. Let's go slot 3 and do a rendering. Okay. It's kind of cool how we can see everything that's inside. And then to save the images, we just go to Save As and save each one as a PNG. So not JPEG, PNG with the RGB on. So because if you have a transparent background, then it saves the transparent background. And yeah, that basically sums up this quick introduction into a playful approach into playing with interior lighting, camera, collections, outside light, materials on walls. You can see it's very intuitive. You can very quickly develop interesting stories. I find this actually very fascinating to work with because this is not necessarily just a fun thing, but it really helps you to visualize how a space maybe could look like from a functional standpoint, but also from an emotional standpoint. Do you want to be in the space? Or is the space supporting my activities through the way how this looks and is illuminated. That's it.